Hello, Heroclix land. Welcome back to Talkn Clix. I am once again, Wespool. Tonight I have Emilio Gutierrez. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, doing good. I am at a hotel in Baltimore on a work trip, so I had time to do this interview, which I was hoping to do a while back. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Right. For my regular watchers, I had to relocate to a different room because of some technical issues. So this is not my usual stage, but we're going to make do for tonight. So, Emilio, on the quick questionnaire, I have dove into the AI and I've spoken with the almighty Kevin, and we've got the ultimate questionnaire to get inside the head of the average HeroClix player. A lot of members of the community know who you are, but they don't really know you. Are you ready to be known by the community?
Yeah, yeah, to an
All right.
extent.
Starts off, how did you discover HeroClix and what keeps you in the game?
Ooh, okay. Well, I first discovered HeroClix when it very first came out in Infinity Challenge. I was going to a Pokemon League at Wizards of the Coast and in a mall, and another game store that nearby that we went to every once in a while, me and my friends. They had HeroClix, and I had just gotten into like comics through I think either it was either X Men One or X Men Two, and let's go that night. Oh, it was probably X Men Two. The Nightcrawler scene got me hooked, so I started looking into comics and like I watched some of the Spider Man animated series. So I was like, oh yeah, Spider Man's cool. Like I wasn't like a big fan or anything yet, but what's it called when I saw this set, the starter set, and I was like, oh, this looks fun, and I got it, and I what's it called because I was like just getting the comics, so I recognized like literally just Spider Man and Wolverine in that starter set. And I read the rule book, and I must have been like 11 years old at the time, and I was like, dude, this is too much for me. Especially back then. Clicks back then was a lot more complicated than it is now, and I was like on a 12 year old's budget. Like I could not like afford Pokemon cards and HeroClix, so I kind of just like kept it in the back of my mind. We like, and I make it sound like I stopped after the same day I got the starter. Now I was in it for like 3 or 4 months. I went to one local venue to play, and it was just like me and my brother and our two friends that would play with us. We just kind of like got over it kind of quick. Um, so we just kind of shelved it. I still had the sculpts in my room because they look cool. Um, and then several years ago, I want to say like 20, oh my God, no, that was like ten years ago now. 2014, I was now a full adult. And the friends I was hanging out with at the time, they were into comic books a lot because in 2014, this is like MCU is really ramping up. So there's Marvel's got a lot of fans. And I had missed playing Pokemon cards like competitively, but like the group that I played Pokemon with, we had all like grown up, gone to different colleges, moved away from each other. So I didn't have that like game that I would always go to where I could like study a meta, look forward to new cards, new pieces. So I asked my friends like, hey, do you guys want to get into HeroClix? Do you guys want to just get a starter set, just play at my house or whatever? And my intention was to treat it like a board game that we just play every once in a while. Like I was just gonna fish out my old figures, maybe we'll buy some new ones. And this is all before I'd even like look to see if the game still existed. I did it did. So we got a starter set, and like this is how what the gap was to me when I first saw the figures at the time. I think the newest sets were like Avengers Assemble, Nick Fury, Agents of Shield. Like those figures didn't have flight bases, and that was weird to me with how I remember the game. But anyway, so I got into it with them, and then I eventually, me and those two friends, we moved in together because we were all looking for new apartments around the same time, and yeah, that's what got me into it. You said the other was the question like, why do I still like play it?
Yeah,
Was
why
that
are you
it?
still in it after all this time?
I'm still in it. Like I've always been like a like a board gamer, like specifically a collectible gamer. Like I love my board games, but like collectible games are really where it's at for me because I love seeing like a game grow. It was like that in Pokemon. It was like that in when I played Digimon for a bit. It was like that. Oh, it says West. All right. What's it called? And what I love about HeroClix is I love the vast depth of the design space that they have. Like there's so much that they can do because like yeah, Pokemon is like really rich, right? Like in the lore, but it's so hard to accurately translate um what a Pokemon can do into like a card game where the mechanics are more limited. There's not as known characters, and being a fan of those characters makes it like fun to see new characters because I want to see like how do they first of all how do they translate from their lore to the table. And further than that, it's cool to see like how like as the competitive player in me, I want to see like how does this play a role into the larger meta? How can this piece fit, and how does it like what's it called? How can you? I don't want to say stuff because that sounds so like it sounds so shallow, but like, how can you like best use each piece? Like so challenges me creatively. It like satisfies my like love of the lore, and it's just fun to have like new game pieces like consistently. So yeah, what the depth of the games of the design space is really what keeps me in the most.
Cool. So in the last 2 years, you
Yeah.
have established
Does that work?
yourself as the definitive player of Starbrand. What is about Starbrand figure that you love so much? And are you familiar with the character, or is it just the mechanics of that figure that you love so much?
First, I love definitive Starbrand player as if the field is so rich and plentiful of them that I was able to carve my spot amongst the many Starbrand players. Um, but no, I did not know. Like I know of like Starbrand, and I know like what like I know Starbrand more of I forget the original character's name, but I know more of the guy version, and I know that he passed on the star like those Starbrand's whole thing is it can bestow power onto other people. I'm not a big Cosmic Marvel guy, so I really love this piece for what it can do in the game. Okay, and like what brought me to it was just when they first showed it off, I was like, oh, damn, that's so good. Like being able to like one of my favorite things in HeroClix period is increase all combat values by +1. Like you give me that, I explored Doc Sasquatch for so long because you can do that. Like just like one of the first pieces I was known for back in the day, like the 2018 Bronze Age era, was the power plant, and I love the power plant because it can free +1 all stats. You give me that, like that piece is immediately on my radar, and I'm probably gonna play it. But I wasn't playing the piece to necessarily be different. I like playing like okay, this is gonna get we're gonna sidetrack a little bit and get into like my whole like competitive philosophy. Okay, I feel like every winner in Clix like on every level from like local games to like higher games has a combination of these three things. People have good piece. Well, winners have always had good pieces. Winners have always had good plays, and winners have always had good dice. Okay, and yes, like you could say like yeah, every like bad good players can win with bad dice, but yeah, like anyone that's been in like top four, top two tables knows that like a lot of times a lot of those players are on equal skill, and the dice decide it more than the plays at that point. But anyway, that's beyond the point. So when I'm looking for good pieces, right? Like I'm not playing Starbrand because no one else is playing her. I'm not trying to make an unknown piece good. I'm playing her because I believe that she's good. And I feel like more people should be playing her. And if more people played her, I would not stop playing her if she got popular. She didn't, which was a big freaking tragedy for me because I felt like she was an amazing piece the entire time she was in the meta. But like giving like her ability to act as a support piece in the early game and then act as a secondary attacker in the mid game. And those are two things that I always look out for. What's a support piece that can turn into a fighter? Especially like if anyone's seen the way I used her. When I used her in the what's it called the 2022-2023 season, that's when I was playing her with Prime Spider-Man, Empire Captain America, the Avenger swap one. And what I would do is I would swap out Darkhold Scarlet Witch, Disney Plus Chase for Starbrand, and Starbrand would turn one equip the Darkhold. That way, when Starbrand powers somebody up, usually Prime Spider-Man, she can give him prob because she can give him a guy any power she can use. And in last season, I would have Khonshu on her, so now she has a prob, and she can give someone else prob and the plus one stats. So it would turn into giving Hawkeye plus one stats and range combat expert, or powering up Prime Captain America to give him plus one stats and prob, or plus one stats and RCE, so his double attack was doing better. But yeah, like I played her because I believe she, and the fact that people like are rewarding or properly for playing something that's unknown, that's cool. I'm always going to appreciate that. But I would be playing her if everyone was playing her too. That did not stop me. And I going into this season after she's rotated, I believe the same thing about Darkhold Doom, Chase Doom. I believe he's in peace, and I would be playing him even if other people weren't. Although I am looking at other stuff right now. Right now, I'm looking at Biodroid. I think Biodroid has a lot of potential. I haven't cracked it yet in a way that like I'm even ready to test, but I feel like there's something there, and I'm gonna think the same thing. Like I'm not playing a piece because it's popular. I'm playing a piece because it's good.
Cool. Um, so far in your HeroClix career, what has been your most proud achievement?
Oh man, there's a lot. There's a lot. Okay, so ah, okay. Um, a cheating answer. There was a time in our locals where we were playing. It was like 400 points with like. I'm gonna tell this quick story because it's super freaking funny. Um, it was like Golden Age, but like we didn't play anything busted. And my friend Eli, he played. This was like I think a year and a half ago. He played Yellow Lantern Battery with the Shield Hulk, the 200 point one, so that everybody had like -2 attack when you attack him. And it was it was the first turn of the game, and I needed to roll, or it was like my first like attacking turn of the game. I needed an 11 to hit him, and I got it. And needing 11 without any probs on a -2 attack, it was just so satisfying to be like, oh, dope. And of course, that's not something that like I had any control over other than just making a bad decision and going for an 11. But it's one of those things that like you'll always remember. But proudest achievement, like the stuff that I'm like really like I can look back and like, heck yeah, I did that. Probably my top four in Origins with my Starbrand Prime Cap Avengers team, and I lost to Ivy's, and I haven't talked to Denny about this yet because we're not like super close or anything. But I was looking back, I was thinking back at the game and the map we were in, and I think I had a way to go in there. I think I had a way to go around it. I just didn't like. Obviously, nobody had practiced the Ivy matchup beforehand, which makes me so mad because I was talking in one of my group chats and I was like, "Hey guys, I think there's something with Ivy here," and we were like, "Nah, I don't think it's worth it." So we just dismissed it. Like after it came up, and then months later, it's freaking winning Origins. But that was a really proud moment. I was only able to top four, and I know like beating PJ in top eight. A lot of that credit was to a crit miss, but I will also say an equal amount of credit was to. Um, Me being able to take out all the plants because he forgot I could spawn Kate Bishop with Hawkeye, but getting that far in a and it's not just like hey I made it with like with Starbrand, I made it with my own team that wasn't meta popular. Okay, it was a lot of that pride is because I was competitive in the 2018 season in Southern California in the Majestic circuit, which pretty much just played like Bronze Age. I had never like we'd done Modern every once in a while, but it was not the main focus of the competitive culture down there. So moving out to the Midwest and performing well in Origins in 300 Modern, it was the first time I was at that Origin event was the first time I was really like eating in the same format that most of the player base plays in, which is of course 300 Modern, and being able to hold my own in that was I was really proud of myself because like I knew I can do well in Bronze Age, at least in the state that I'm in. And like, but there was always that thing that was like nagging at me, like, am I still a good player in Modern? Does that talent transfer, or am I only winning because I play Mystiques, which means that like it basically wins if you don't have Pulse Wave, and if you do have Pulse Wave, the fact that like I can position well kind of kills saves me. But getting that placement with that team, especially like I freaking almost beat Isaac too, and he'll tell you that like I our game went to 300 300. I scored his 300 points before he scored his, and and I lost because it came down to his Prime Absorbing Man versus my Prime Cap. I missed all my willpowers in leadership, so Prime Cap never got to heal, and he hit all his willpower, so I never got to like fully get away. Like it was literally like Prime Absorbing Man chasing Captain America, me having to roll a breakaway or to get out of there, and if I had gotten a turn where he was double token, I would be able to get 2 turns away from him, and I would have had that game. And it's freaking wild to me that like that I didn't like I came that close to one of the best players in the world. And like I remember like updating my group chats at the time. I was like I text them after every round. I'm like round one versus whatever score and then win or loss. And I texted them. I was like, hey guys, round five, 300 loss. And they're like, how did you get 300 and lose? And I was like, yeah, it's arguably harder to do to get 300 and win. But yeah, I think top fouring at Origins was probably my proudest HeroClix achievement.
Awesome. All right. So if you were to add a power to the PAC, what would you add and why?
I've always argued that, and this is not adding a power, so I'm not even answering your question directly. I will in a second though. Um, that pushing damage, I feel like pushing damage should have been moved onto Earthbound neutralized. I think that just opens the design space to let them have their like you have to take a damage to make an attack. Like Earthbound neutralized can say like this character when this character receives a second action token, deal it 1 unavoidable damage. Opens up all the like old activation clicks, easy to do. They don't have to do this wide errata of like deal a guy 1 damage. Anything that you can now add powers that or any special power that grants an opposing character Earthbound neutralize now gets so much better. You actually slow them down because it puts your opponent in a position of, do I want to move this character and take that damage? And it's a simple change, and I think it would have made Earthbound neutralized more of a like tool to use in the design space. Obviously, players would like hate it more, but it would just add so much flavor to what you're able to do. Like imagine just like a Kitty Pride. Like if she power action if she moves through an opposing vehicle or armor keyword, they gain Earthbound neutralized. Turns off the armor, turns off the vehicle, and if they move, they get hit. That feels flavorful to me. But to answer your question, I loved hearing a lot of different people's answers to this question on your show, and I feel like my answer to this has been like, okay, I like that what they did with leap climb. I like phasing teleport existing, and I think that improved movement on standard powers is cool. I think that's great because those improved it. Like one of the best parts about the game itself is the dial system and being having your abilities change as your character gains or loses health, and having a power. I think I would make it like ideally range would be a stat that clicked, and you can click on and off improved targetings on range, but like maybe some kind of like sensory vision on a speed power, so that people can like click into or off of improved targetings because those are some of the that like that's such a like integral part of the game that if you have it, you just always have it. And I can never like ping a guy to remove his improved targeting elevated. I have to straight up like kill him, or if it's on a special power, I have to get him off the special power. So having a way to like click on and off improved targeting, I think it would be a standard power I'd want to use. I'd want to have. Like maybe there's a different one for elevated, one for blocking, or whatever. Like I think that would be a natural, but like it's far too long in the game's development to add that in.
Cool. Um, Name a character that you feel like has been made a lot, but they've never really captured the essence of the source material.
I think my answer to this will always be Black Bolt. Black Bolt of the Inhumans. I feel like they always just give him like a pulse wave thing, which is like to be fair, like not terrible, but also I feel like one of the joys about this game is like when I'm playing a character that's well designed, it's not just acting like that character, it's feeling like that character. Like Spider-Man's good at dodging shit, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can definitely dodge it. But like when he gets hit because he never has like reducer, right? Or same with Iron Man, especially Avengers Defenders, where Iron Man, who's able to pick powers, really feels like I'm like Iron Man, picking and choosing like which part of the armor to use. right? Or Captain America doing some weird leadership thing. And when Black Bolt has Pulse Wave, it's like I'm always gonna freaking Pulse Wave, right? Like why would I not? Why would like it's one of the best powers, and Black Bolt usually is good at it, right? He usually shoots through blocking, but that doesn't feel like Black Bolt. Black Bolt feels like he has great strength, but he uses it sparingly. He's very reserved and picks and chooses when to use his massive like power of his voice. And I feel like and I don't think a once per game thing would be an accurate way to do it. I feel like just some kind of mechanic that rewards you for being like careful with how you use some big bad pulse wave or something, or maybe a directional pulse wave that can only be activated on like if a character has been KO'd or if all opposed it can like what's it called a pulse wave that only affects opposing characters with two action tokens. So you have to be careful about when you use. You have to use it only when it, or it only affects characters with like one or less action tokens. So you have to just like something that like makes you think the way Black Bolt thinks. So yeah, Black Bolt is one I feel like they haven't gotten right yet. Also, oh wait, no, I take that back. We haven't gotten a good comic accurate Luke Cage, and I don't think Luke Cage is difficult to do. Luke Cage is a like the bulletproof guy, specifically from the Bendis run on the Avengers, where he goes from like being an ex-con to being the leader of the Avengers, like when after Cap dies and during post Civil War era, that Luke Cage stepped up. When the Avengers were lost, Luke Cage stepped up to doing it, and every time they print Luke Cage, there's only been like one or two Luke Cages with leadership, and to me he should have a good leadership that like action total plus two if no other characters in your force have leadership or something, and it's so dumb to like I love that they give him invincible that makes sense. Give him impervious that reduces pen that also makes sense, but I also feel like Luke Cage should have a defense power that like opposing characters can't use precision strike against him. Dope. That solves like Luke Cage's like invulnerable total invulnerable thing because precision strike hitting Luke Cage doesn't feel like it makes sense. So yeah, I just Black Bolt has always been my answer, but upon further reflection, Luke Cage is the one that has not yet been done right and needs to be.
Have they even made one anything other than like a rare? They ever done a super rare chase Luke Cage?
Not that I know of. There's a super rare when he's always teamed up with Iron Fist. Yeah, yeah, or yeah, like it doesn't even need to be like complicated. Like just get, invincible. Opposing characters can't use precision strike when targeting Luke Cage or adjacent friendly characters. Oh, invincible defend and that, and then leadership action total plus two if no other characters on your force can use leadership. Freaking done. That can be a rare. That doesn't need to be complicated.
There you go.
And then the traditional breaks blocking super that Luke Cage does.
So, other than Starbrand, what is the character you most regularly gravitate towards? Not the figure itself, but what's the overall character, like a Wolverine or a Captain America?
Oh. How is this not Spider Man? I like I love playing Spider Man family. I kind of hate super senses as a power. It's a big feels bad, but it feels so good when it works. Like I'm a big Spider Man fan. Grew up on Ultimate Spider Man. Currently loving the new Ultimate Spider Man run. Always reaching for those. As far as coincidentally, like when it comes to competitive teams, I don't. I thought about this, and I don't know if there's any one particular character I like always go for. Like I said, like when I play competitively, what attracts me are mechanics, and if I think a figure is good, I'm going to play it.
All right, so now that Beetlejuice has been out for a minute, he's been in
Cool.
the modern scene, he's been in tournaments, and as far as I know, the sky has not fallen. Uh, are you in the camp of Miles Kane where Beetlejuice is still the worst thing happened in the game ever, or are you kind of in the Beetlejuice fan club?
It takes a lot, like me playing competitive games like my whole life. It takes a lot for me to think something should is worthy of being like banned or honestly even changed. Like I was honestly like more or less okay with Blackheart when it existed. I was not around in the Faust days. Faust is probably the one piece in HeroClix I feel like deserved to be banned. Um, BG is totally fine. Like it's the fact that it exists is, and this is I know this is probably like a long answer for everyone that you ask this, but BG Beetlejuice is literally like exactly what the game needed to curb power creep. Exactly 100% what the game needed. Like it forces, and this is why I feel like a lot of people that don't like it, and I don't mean to sound super judgy because I'm not like super prolific player. I don't even have that many like wins. Um, but like at least my philosophy on game design is if what's it called a metagame is like an ecosystem, okay? And when any particular and people this is where I feel like people like tend to what's it called tunnel vision themselves. People feel like individual pieces in HeroClix characters or figs or in other card games cards, people hone in on figures as problems, but they don't look at mechanics as problems. I know there's a big camp that feels like autonomous is should no longer exist, and I understand it. And if it were gone, I wouldn't even blink an eye. Okay, but I personally feel like something like that should exist. It just should exist very rare and sparingly. But when it comes to BG, the mechanic that gets out of hand is free actions. Part of what makes HeroClix, how do I say, interesting, tempo wise, is the action total, the actions you can do in a turn. And yes, we are limited to three, maybe often four actions in a turn. But free actions take that out of the equation. Free actions let us do multiple things in a turn, not just something simple like perplex and outwit, but something like Legacy Captain America can spawn four freaking dudes off of free action. The fact that free actions can be taken after carry, the fact that free actions can be used for so many things, and the fact that like, and what makes free actions huge and good is that they can be used as necessary. It's not something like White Tiger generating Chi Tiger that has to be done beginning of turn. So you have to plan out your turn to do it effectively. It's not something like the Darkhold one shots, which you have to plan accordingly. There has to be a way to like have someone within four squares, and it's on your and even like on a side note, Darkhold one shots are on your opponent's discretion. If they don't want you to use it, they can keep their guys out of four squares from you. But anyway, back to the thing about free actions. Free actions are the one thing that have no natural predator in the HeroClix like design space. There's nothing that like there have been things over time. There have been like what's it called Green Lantern battery, first instance. There I think there was a Doom Chase that limited free actions. I'm not entirely sure, but anyway, free actions have no natural predator, which means that the game's power creep can scale out of control. Turns can take longer, deciding what to perplex, deciding what to outwit, deciding where to sidestep. Like, do I running shot pulse or something? And having a natural predator that eats your own team is perfect. I think Beetlejuice is super well designed and really what the game needed. I used to be in the camp of Beetlejuice should work within X amount of squares. And then I sat across from one and I saw him eating my opponent's time breakers, eating their butterflies. And I figured if I just play defense, their team they have to like freaking eat themselves or I'm unleashed essentially or I'm able to like do whatever the heck I want. And I think it also Beetlejuice existing, at least in modern. I'm not going to speak to silver or bronze or any other bigger formats because I don't study them, so I don't feel like my opinion is strong enough. Uh, Beetlejuice existing, it forces players to team build in a way that should account for it. And if you can't account for it, your team is I don't want to say boned, but your team has that opening. You have to worry about it. And if you worry about it, and if you're not prepared for it, and you go into a team, go into an event, and your opponent calls in Beetlejuice, and now your team is just totally fucked, that's 100% on you. That's 100% on you, and that's like another thing I love about HeroClix is that unlike card games, is that all of my options are open to me at the get go. Obviously, with the exception of trick arrows, but even then, you can like really narrow it down. You don't have to. I'm not worried about like is my opponent playing four copies of this or three copies, and I know exactly what my opponent can do almost all the time. And that's like to say that Beetlejuice should not have been made or should be restricted is to me almost admitting that you cannot adapt. And my the team I brought to the my Doom team that I took to IC, it has plenty of free actions, but it doesn't need them to do what it wants to do. It makes my free actions make my team better, and I feel like me designing that team really put myself in a position where if my opponent calls in juice, I'm slowed, but I'm not kneecapped, which means that like in my team building step, not necessarily my execution step, um, my like me calling in Beetlejuice, if I, it will hurt me, but it will not hurt me as much as it'll hurt my opponent if I'm calling him in. Because if I like, there are times in my collector in my one collector matchup, I didn't even want to call him in because I felt like I didn't kill it. Spoiler alert. I only won that off a roll off. So, like I said, you need good dice to win. Um, but like BG is totally what the game needed to slow down the or to how to say counteract the natural predator of our ecosystem, which is an overabundance of free actions. And just having that option for us, I think is good because now players are put in a position where you have to be able to adapt, or you will get totally boned by something that's very cheap. So putting players in a position where they need to adapt is always good.
Back to talking about Spider-Man. Who is your Spider-Man? Is it Miles Morales? Is it Peter Parker? When you think about Spider-Man, what's the alter ego that you think of?
Peter Parker.
Okay, I know a lot of
Every
people
time.
today say
I love
Miles
Miles. I
Morales.
love Miles. Yeah, and they should. Miles has earned his right to the name as well, but Peter Parker is the one I think of.
Me too. Um, between you and your brother Alonzo, who is the better team builder and who is the better player?
I think I think I will modestly say me on both counts. I know Alonso's very out of practice, but I think he would. I think he would agree as well. Like, and here's the thing. Like, yeah, I'm better at that than him, but it's not in a like, fuck you, get good. It's in a like, okay, I'm better than you here. Let's both agree so that we can like figure out how to help each other. Like he knows I can help him with that. And he's willing to listen. We've got a good relationship.
Now you just got married. Congratulations. And you are leaving the Midwest to go back to California. Will you be flying back here in November to attend Red, White, and Clicks again?
I hope so, and I plan to. It was a good time last year, and I'm excited to go again. Traveling is a bigger pain in the ass to it than it was last year, so I'm allowing myself, and of course this can still change. I'm allowing myself budget permitting to go on two Clix trips this year, and I'm hoping it's Origins and RWC, and if not, maybe Gen Con and RWC. But I have to see where I'm going because like I would also really love to go to Worlds, and yeah, like that's like what's it called. I without having a local like at least a local venue that's 10 minutes away from my house, and or not even 10 minutes. It's like 4 minutes away from my house. Now without having that in California, I feel like my clicks time will go down a bunch. Maybe if my wife's working late, then maybe I can sign on for a couple games on Roll 20 or something. But for the most part, I'm kind of hoping to. I am hoping to go to RWC, but I'm also trying to budget out my life because yeah.
Fair enough. For those who don't know, Emilio was at the first Red, White, and Clicks, and I was struggling a little bit with the side events, and Emilio stepped up and helped run those side events. And I have taken the uh, opportunity to plan ahead this time, so I have proper support staff, so you can just sit back and enjoy playing if you do attend.
Ooh, looking forward to
um,
it.
well, you already kind of answered this question, but what do you think is the bigger part of team building for you? The dial or the figure, the character? But you already kind of answered that.
Man, okay. That's huge. Do you want me to just talk about like casual like for locals or for like 300 modern?
300 modern.
Because I think the answer changes.
Yeah.
In modern, I look for the first thing I notice is a cool interaction. Okay, like when I was building Starbrand, I like that she can +2 attack, +2 damage on Hawkeye Hawkeye. I was like, dope, because now Hawkeye Hawkeye can attack twice at that value, right? Um, but with Doom, it was a little bit different. With Doom, it was like it's actually really funny. It started with Ghost Rider, and it started with, oh shit, now we can get shape change from the booth. I don't even need to pick common Ghost Rider as a pilot anymore. If I position well, I'll just have shape change. And they again can't do anything, which is what led to Ghost Rider Managed it. And I was looking for secondary attackers in this team, and I was like, well, Doom is fucking cool, like as a character. So I was like, yeah, let's play Doom. And then I played it in one practice game, and it was so cool. Making the Doom bots was dope. Trick arrowing, well, actually, it wasn't even trick arrow. Was the first build. It was universal weapon, pulse waving through the Doom bots from across the map, and I hit like so many fucking squares. That was cool. I was like, yeah, dude, I loved it. And then the more I played, the more I'm like, holy shit, Doom is dope. But I guess what plays a bigger part in my team building is first of all a fun interaction that I feel like I can not necessarily exploit, but a fun interaction that I feel like can do damage. I guess that's such a stupid way to say it. It's like freaking, I forget who said it in Smash Brothers, compare Smash Brothers. He was like, they asked, "Oh, what's your big strategy after he wins a major event?" He's like, "Oh, my strategies don't fit." It's like fucking no shit, right? Of course, I want something that does damage, but I think, I think where I start with is I start looking at the if the comparison is character versus dial, I think it's dial 99% of the time. I sometimes I start with like wanting to make a character I like cool, but as soon as I realize that the ceiling is not where I want it to be, I start looking at things that can hit the ceiling that I want. And usually I try to like, and what I've noticed in my team building in the last like four major competitive events I played in, is I like to stay in the realm of like two characters between 70 and 100 points, and then a bunch of support to fill that in. I have been I've been finding myself way more limited in characters above 100 points, and I don't necessarily like how fragile things that are under 70 points typically are. Like Kong is cool, but I feel like after some points, players just know how to kill it. Like I remember like last season at Nationals Gen Con, there times that like you just star brand new a Kong and like their entire team just dies. Like it's, and I'm gonna branch off into a little Starman rant right now. Hitting a Kong, and then like here's the steps that like I would say at least 70% of my opponents goes through. I'm like, okay, Starman's gonna range Kong, which means everyone around him within 2 squares of Kong gets hit. And this they always say like, "Are you sure that's how that works?" And I'm like, "I'm pretty sure that's how that works." And they'll be like, "Okay, I'm gonna call a judge." And then specifically, I think this was twice at Gen Con. PJ's there and he's watching and he's like, oh, he's lining it up. And the guy, my opponent would go like, PJ, is that how it works? And PJ's like, I'm not judged, don't ask me, but yeah, that's how it works. And then everybody gets hit for five, and Kong gets sent to the last because they have to hit the imperv. If they don't hit the imperv, Kong gets sent to last click. He's and then Blackheart dies. Mern gets sent to last click. Other Kong gets sent to last click because he misses imperv too. And then Hawkeye come in, do 1-1-1, and then 1-1-1 again. And they're like, where was this? No, this is a mechanic that we like. Yeah, what's called? I usually start building around a specific mechanic and then go from there. And if it doesn't feel like my steps are find the mechanic. Can I do the mechanic in 200 points? Cool. Now I can fill 100 points of support. If it usually costs me more than 200 points to do the thing, then I usually feel like, oh, this is not worth it. That means I'm tunnel visioning myself into the mechanic and I'm not making a balanced team. So
Cool.
yeah, like
Um,
that's how I approach my team building.
Great.
I try to do it's a quote by Lin Manuel Miranda when writing Hamilton said something like he'll find a good line and it's not even a bad line, it's a good line, and it'll take like 6 to 8 syllables, and he's like, okay, can I get the same rhythm or the same line in 5 syllables or six, like maybe the numbers I have wrong, But I think that philosophy applies to Clix building as well. This thing that I'm doing cost 150 points. Can I do it in 125? Can I do it in 100? Can I do it in X amount? And there's a point where I'm like, you know what? No, this is like, if this is the cheapest it can be, then I'm done. Or I'm like, I'll go to the group chat and I'll be like, hey, this is as cheap as I can make it. Can you guys figure out how to make this easier? And if the whole group can't figure it out, then I'm like, okay, it can't be done. Or like all like the whole group like can't figure out how it works, so we abandon it. And then I see someone place with it at like an event. I'm like, fuck, I guess it was there. I was on something. But yeah, like just try to do the same thing cheaper. Finding a mechanic I like, then trying to do that same mechanic cheaper and cheaper is usually the way it goes.
Great. Um, so other than HeroClix, you're very well known in Pokemon circles. You've played competitively for years. You played competitively when you were a young child. Last year, you were on an episode of ClicksNet with Adam, talking about the comparison between Pokemon and HeroClix. Um, do you feel like Pokemon is not in as healthy of a state now with all the scalpers buying out all the products and not leaving anything left for the actual players?
Oh, okay. First of all, comparing Pokemon to Clix collectability wise is like that's not even a game. Um, if you want to talk like I think the Pokemon competitive meta feels healthy as hell. It has been for years, at least healthier than it was when I was growing up. But I kind of hate Pokemon right now. Not as a game, but like just the way TCPI has been running, designing, and building their game. It like especially in the last like year, it feels like this game is designed for collectors and players are put off to the side. Which is like I guess the way it's always been. Like and they gotta chase their dollar. I can't even be mad about it because it's not fair to them as a business. Like I'm not going to tell them to like cater to me the player when I'm going to pay a lot less money for their product than their collectors are, right? But I kind of just like my problems with Pokemon are just like its size that it grew up. Like, okay, I'm gonna be old man shouts at Cloud for a minute. All right, like I've got a lot of fucking feelings about Pokemon right now. Like everybody's playing it, and I'm so mad that Pokemon Pocket is successful. And I know I'm the asshole in this scenario. I 100% embrace the fact that I'm the douchebag here. Okay, but the Pokemon card game is not complicated. It is not a complex game. There are games, board game like Monopoly to me is a little bit more complicated than the Pokemon TCG. Okay, and by design because the Pokemon TCG is intentionally simple so they can keep kids playing. Okay, Pokemon Pocket just like made a simple game and made it simpler because people would not fucking play the regular game. And I am the asshole here. I'm not even asking. I know I'm the asshole here. Like, because Pokemon Pocket fucking worked. Now a lot more people are interested in playing the real game because they learned it. They learned a little bit from Pocket, and I hate that a simple game needed to be made simpler to get people to play it. All right, like if Pokemon TCG was complex, then sure, I get it, right? But like, out of all the major card games on the market right now, I feel like Pokemon, maybe Lorcana, are the simplest, and I hate that they have to do this. But anyway, the question was my opinion on like how the game is going right now. I think Pokemon is totally fucking like it's just they're just acting lazy. I think because what's it called other card games like Band-Aid does this really well when they have special editions of stuff that comes out like the Pokemon Center ETBs or just cards in fucking general. Bandai opens up pre-orders 6, 8, 10 months in advance. That way they can print exactly to order. Everyone that orders one will get one because you're ordering it so far in advance they can manufacture it at exactly how the count that they need, plus or minus, right? Just in case. But you don't see that in Pokemon, and the technology exists. They can totally market like Journey Together. They could have marketed that shit a year ago and just had people's pre-orders in, and that solves the scalper problem like that. But Pokemon is too lazy to do anything about it because why should they? People buy it anyway, and I'm not going to fault them for chasing their dollar because they like, their existence is they need to make. Like, how do you transfer that skill to someone else? Like, especially as a Pokemon, can you imagine being like the guy that like is head of like Pokemon like marketing decisions and got fired? Like, where everyone else is already doing it better, right? But anyway, like comparing them is not even a conversation. It's not popular enough to even have that conversation. But um, I'm very displeased with how Pokemon have been running themselves for years, especially because like I forget when it was, but it was several years ago. They had an interview with one of the TCG designers, which is a very rare thing. That like never in HeroClix, we are very blessed to get as many design insights. But like they asked, like, what are you guys gonna do? Like, are you guys ever gonna like make a game more like complex, explore different mechanics? And they're like, no, we like to keep it simple for kids. It's entirely fair. That's a lot of their market. They should do that. But like the fact that they're not even they can try. Like there's one deck in the last like 5 years I feel like came out that was actually exploring more discard energy, do more damage, or 220 can't attack next turn, and that's Lost Box. And that deck was so dope. I love playing that deck, but it just doesn't like it doesn't like, they, they're not even they're not really trying. Like, but to their credit, their game is balanced. It's more balanced than it's ever been. Not ever. It's more balanced than it's very close to being a very well balanced. And I'm like you keep the meta healthy. I don't give a shit about everything else. That's my feeling on Pokemon right now. And old man shouts at Cloud. Old man shouts at Cloud when it comes to that.
So you've had a lot of jobs in your young life. You've been a social worker, you've been a career coach, you've been a screenwriter, you've been an intern for law offices and a district attorney's office, and now I believe you're going to Disneyland, Disney World. What is your favorite job that you've held?
Yeah. My favorite job I've ever held is the job I have right now. Um, I currently work. I don't know. Like, I work at Collectors Universe. I specifically work with PSA, Stat Registry. So what I do is basically manage the and like a month ago they gave me the keys to the whole TCG side. So I basically just work with trading card game stuff all day long. I am the way I describe my job is when you get a card graded, it comes with an 8-digit cert number on the back. You can use that number to register the card to your account and build sets that are basically like um, your collection. Do that through our system. Recently, getting put like in charge of the whole like not in charge. I still have a boss. Um, basically, getting to manage the PCG side of that system. Um, After talking so much shit on the
Okay, I
Pokemon
need to
Company too.
apologize for my very loud and very rude daughter. Go ahead.
It's actually your wife too.
It's cool. Like kids be kids. I'm cool with it. I enjoy my job at Collectors. I get my cards graded much cheaper than I would otherwise. So yeah, I'm here. You got me? We good?
Yep. So tell me about the HeroClix meme page that you used to run.
Used to be so much secret identity about this, but okay, so this is like the 2017-2018 season. Maybe 2018, 2019. I think that's more accurate. No, 2018 was about it. I started a meme page, MCU, Meme Clix Universe, and it just meme posting me because I felt like there was just like there were not a lot of like clicks memes at the time. Like people just weren't making them for whatever reason, and I was like, dude, like I don't want to. I want to be part. I want to have my own like slice and like the contribution to the HeroClix like world overall. And I was like, well, I have a degree in TV, so like maybe or TV sitcom writing specifically. Maybe I can use that. So I'm not going to write entire HeroClix sitcom, but just making like memes was funny to me. I think my crown jewel is the I HeroClix memed out the scene, the Attack on Titan, not Attack. That's a fucking anime. The Titan battle between Thanos, Iron Man, Strange, Spider Man, Star Lord. and that was like the the peak of my meme making. Also, people really like the Doctor Strange one. Each one shows them all the different dimensions, and it's like each one is like the veteran player, and Strange is like a new Clix player, and they're getting like he gets sent through all the dimensions and like everything that's going on, and or like the whole wide world that Clix is, and even that one is like outdated now. But yeah, like MCU meme clicks universe, look it up. I barely post there anymore. Like not for lack of trying, it's just like I felt like I did it because I saw that there were not many, if any, clicks memes that were going around, and I wanted to fill that niche. And now that that problem, quote unquote, that gap no longer exists. They happen all the fucking time, and that's great. I love that. I always feel like joy and laughter in the community. It exists. So I make it less of a priority to post there, and I had made. I used to post twice a day, and then I went to once a day, and I was like, nah. What's it called? And then they updated the Photoshop software on my phone that I use. I haven't bothered to look. That was a a fun time in my life. I hate that a lot of the jokes are outdated now, and also they fixed Leap Climb, and like one of the big running gags in there was making fun of Leap Climb, and
Yeah.
I can't anymore. It's good power.
What is the best sandwich?
Okay, well, my favorite sandwich is it's something that we make at home. It's so fucking simple too. It's just sourdough bread, honey baked turkey from um, specifically the honey baked like store where you buy turkeys and hams. Lettuce, tomato, and that's it. Something simple, flavorful, not not unhealthy for me. So, yeah, simple sandwich,
Nice.
and it tastes best at home. Like I would not order that like somewhere else. I wouldn't trust it the same way.
All right. What do you put on vanilla ice cream?
Oh, I guess if I have to, I put sprinkles, maybe strawberries, but
Okay.
like that's it. Like
Um, who is the most famous person you've met?
last week, I got to meet Charlie Cox. That was cool. It's so funny. My wife wanted to go to Fan Expo in Cleveland last weekend, and she thought it was going to be a lot of anime stuff. Which, to her credit, there was a lot of anime stuff, but there was a lot more like comic stuff. And then, like, oh God bless him. After meeting Charlie Cox there, I bought a comic book. I got him to sign it. It's my first time getting a comic book signed by somebody. Freaking Manny Jacinto was there too, and like I think probably my favorite TV show of all time is The Good Place. And seeing him there, I was like, oh damn, it's fucking Jason Mendoza. I love that character. The actor's so good. I know he's in Star Wars, but I am not a Star Wars person. Like mostly because my wife is not a Star Wars person, so I am not a Star Wars person. I think if I had never met her, I still think I would care about Star Wars the exact same amount, which is barely any. But meeting Manny Jacinto was really chill. He didn't want to look at my name. He's like, hey, you Filipino? And I'm like, yo, yeah, me too. And I was like, oh, cool, cool. Yeah, and I freaking, like Wes. I don't think you've seen The Good Place, and like I thought of like his character like is I don't want to spoil, but like one of the best lines that he has in the show is like they're all like gathering around trying to brainstorm ideas, and his character Jason comes up with this real stupid fucking idea like he always does, and then the Ted Danson doesn't like write it down in their list, and he's like, no, are you gonna write it down? And he's like, sure, and he like does this, and Jason's like, did you actually write it or did you just do a scribble scrabble? And I fucking should have said that when he signed the photo that we got of him. That's such a fitting line. And I thought about it half an hour after we had met him. But other than those two, like looking at Disneyland, even just a silly retail job I had was so how do I say like there were so many doors. I met I think his name is Joe or yeah, Joe Esposito, I
Yeah,
think. Like he's like the editor in chief of Creative Marvel. Esposito, right? I want to make
yeah,
sure I get his name right before.
that's right.
Yeah. No, that's a Joe Esposito is an American singer songwriter. Hold
Oh,
on.
sounded right.
Joe Quesada. Joe Quesada is a Yeah, Joe Quesada is the American or the comic book artist and editor at Marvel. When we were doing the grand opening of the Guardians of the Galaxy ride in California Adventure, I was working. I got to work the opening day for that shift, and Joe Esposito comes in by himself because they were just giving all the Marvel execs a tour. He comes in the store, he looks around. And I tell all my coworkers, "You guys stay the fuck away from this one." They were not Marvel people, and they were not especially Marvel people outside of the movies. So I was like, no, so he comes he finds a he buys a Cosmo plush, a Baby Groot plush, a Big Adventure, and he paying a credit card, so I have to ask for his ID, and he shows that and like it's him from New York from the Marvel offices, and I was like dude. We had a small conversation because, like, dude, hey, I want to say, like, I've been a Marvel fan for, like, since I was, like, 12, 11, 12 years old. And isn't it crazy that this just exists? He was like, yeah, we just had that moment of, like, being fans about Marvel finally being seen by, like, the greater world with this, like, whole MCU. Guardians 2 was about to come out. And, like, I wish I had told him that, like, this should have been Avengers Tower, but I wasn't going to, like, I wasn't going to sound like fucking internet comment meeting, like, the editor in chief at Marvel. So, I met him, and then later that night, James Gunn, Zoe Saldana, Michael Rooker all came in to
Oh
like look around
wow.
the store, take pictures with like their character. Um, what's it called? Then also, what's it called? I met in that same, not the same day, but in that same job, I met Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I met Dana Carvey. There's a lot of like just celebrities that go to Disneyland. You know, Sarah Michelle Gellar was one that I wanted to meet, but apparently, like she didn't come into our store the day that she was in there. The tenant, I was really close to meeting because like I came back from lunch and everyone was telling me, dude, the tenant was just here. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And I asked to go on this lunch break, like a fucking idiot. But yeah, I've been in close proximity to a bunch of like famous people just by nature of that job. They had the premiere for Lone Ranger, which was not a good movie. Not that I watched it. I definitely didn't watch it, but like nothing about it. Excited. But Johnny Depp was there. We had the premiere. They had the red carpet went right through the freaking store. So like we saw like Johnny Depp and whoever else was in that movie. I don't know if anyone else notable. But yeah, there was a lot that there's been a lot that I've been close proximity and some that I got to have conversations with. So
That's awesome.
yeah, those are the
That's
most famous
totally
people I met.
awesome. What's been your favorite MCU movie so far?
Movie, there's a lot of good ones. I have a personal like soft spot in my heart for Shang-Chi. That movie just like I don't know, just like I don't want to make this like a race thing, but like there's so few like Asian American stories out there. Like Crazy Rich Asians was another one that hit that spot, and it's like I'm not even like that. Like I'm definitely at least 65% like American side, but like me growing up with one of the things that like is true about like a lot of like Asian American households. I don't want to speak for other races, even if I think that like it might be true for them, but like having the culture at home differ so greatly from the culture in public is one of those things that like really like resonated with me in Crazy Rich Asians more so than Shang-Chi, but Shang-Chi definitely hit that note, and I got to have my MCU movie too. Um, like the fact that like the relationship with his dad and his like, and I love like Shang-Chi's like I love that the conflict in that movie was between him and his dad, and I love that they made sure that there was beyond a shadow of a doubt that the dad was not looking for power, but the dad was looking for power because he wanted to be with his wife again, and not and beyond wanting to be with his wife again, he wanted to have his family life again with his two kids and his wife and like the whole montage scene where they're like playing DDR and he puts away the rings so that he can actually age and grow old with them and to have that taken away, like it was one of those things that like my dad was not super personable growing up. He didn't ask me to like go kill a guy like Shang-Chi's dad did, but like he also in the same way that Shang-Chi's dad never really like got to know Shang-Chi. My dad also didn't really take as much of an interest in my stuff, which is a whole different thing to unpack. But like it was such a like a story that hit home, and it wasn't just like a father son story to me. I feel like that oversimplifies it because it wasn't just about that relationship. It was about Shang-Chi like finding like who he is, and the whole part where he's like accepting that his dad is part of him, even the parts of his dad that he doesn't like, and that he comes from a balance of his mom and his dad, and that Shang-Chi's character arc is accepting that part of him because Shang-Chi, like myself in some years growing up, tries so hard to not be like his dad and to have to embrace that like being a dad is being part his dad is inevitable and it's to be embraced is such like I can't speak for other cultures but it at least like spoke to me in a similar thing with like with me and my parents and I like Shang-Chi just hits that note for me so hard. I will admit that it's like cuz and it's so hard to talk about that movie without saying like oh it devolves into fucking dragon fight at the end but like really like and I've gone in this rant before that like that's just like as a consequence of it being an action movie. The emotional core is still there, and having that dragon fight at the end doesn't take away that in his last moment that Wenwu doesn't like Shang-Chi doesn't just get the rings. Wenwu gives him the rings at the end, right before he dies.
Right.
And to me, that was such like a powerful thing. But as far as MCU movies that are MCU movies, I respect that Winter Soldier is the best. Like and I'm not even going to argue that Winter Soldier is the best. And what's it called Infinity War and Endgame as a pair, I think completely scratched that like itch of comic book movie, like or not just comic book movie, but comic book event. Like event comics were a thing for generations, and Infinity War and Endgame felt like an event comic in as a movie and like growing up a Spider-Man fan, like all especially Homecoming. Homecoming hit that Ultimate Spider-Man note so hard. Like it was like a perfect like translation of the Ultimate Spider-Man comics that I grew up with into a movie. Far From Home, even more so. But Far From Home, I think the attachment to Iron Man made it more Tom Holland Spider-Man than a comic book translation.
Yeah.
And what's it called like it was just like okay. So let me say, personal favorite Shang-Chi. Um, respect as like a film major, Winter Soldier, and what's it called comic book. The most comic booky feels like I'll choose Endgame because I know like people are always going to ask me to pick one. I'll choose Endgame over Infinity War, and then Homecoming specifically because it hit that like nostalgic feel of like this is a Spider-Man story.
I think one of the things that makes Marvel stand out from DC, like they both have their superheroes in spandex and capes doing superhero things. Um, some people say that the superheroes themselves are more relatable. I think it's also the villains and the surrounding supporting cast around the superheroes. Like in the Dark Knight movie, uh, Alfred says that some people just want to see the world burn to describe the Joker, right? And I feel like that speaks to most DC villains, that they are just villains for the sake of being villains. Whereas villains in the Marvel universe, they tend to be more relatable. Like yes, uh, mass extinction of humanity with the Infinity Stones is a bad thing, but you can kind of understand where Thanos is coming from, right? Loki was jealous of Thor, and he felt like he had a rightful claim to the throne, and he was being overlooked because he wasn't a natural born son of Odin. Um, a lot of the Marvel Universe villains are not just evil for the sake of being evil. They are their heroes of their own stories that people, if they don't totally relate to, they can at least understand.
Okay, wait, hold on. What was the question in that?
No, I was just commenting, like, because you were talking about Shang-Chi's dad, and he wasn't just evil for the sake of being
Oh,
evil.
yeah.
He's trying to get to his beloved wife, and he wasn't doing it just to destroy humanity. He wasn't out to just murder and maim and steal. He all he was thinking about was the woman he loved more than anything in the world, and trying to get back to her. and that's relatable. I could see myself doing that. If I thought I could that I could get back to my dead wife, I would move heaven and earth to do so. So I think that's what makes Marvel better
Yeah,
than DC.
yeah, so, yeah. Two different things. Like, I do think DC's behind right now, at least in the social like. I'm gonna sound pretentious as shit. Zeitgeist, but I don't think DC got where they were by putting out bad stories. I just think they've fallen behind in transitioning to getting those stories to the general public recently. I hope they get it up. One of my favorite things about when James Gunn got the job at DC, Feige said, "A rising tide raises all ships." I hope he does great, and I am so looking. I'm not. I did not grow up on DC, but I'm very excited about Superman. I'm
Me
very
too.
excited to see what DC has to offer, and I hope they like. I hope we as fans in general stop looking at it as a Marvel versus DC thing, but thinking of it as a Marvel and DC thing,
Yeah,
because there's no reason for the rivalry to exist. Honestly.
yeah, that's good. Well said. So in HeroClix, at least through the content creators, um, I have Wespool, Miles Kane has Aqua Miles, Ryan Redmond has Reb Gorn. If you were to create a superhero alter ego for HeroClix, who would be your superhero alter ego?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if like fuck man. Like my win name is the Amazing Mio. Mio is the childhood nickname I grew up with, and the Amazing comes from the Amazing Spider-Man. So
That
maybe
works.
that. But like, I would never want someone to call me that in real life. Like,
And for those who don't know, Emilio is the originator of Wespool. You said it to me out of a joke
oh,
one
was that me?
time, and I just ran with it.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it would be funny.
Who is your favorite content creator for HeroClix?
Um, we can circle back to this while I look this up.
Okay. So there's a rivalry between a friendly rivalry between Aqua Miles and Westpool. Uh, which camp do you fall in? Team Aqua Miles or Team Westpool?
I don't know Aqua Miles. I'm gonna say Westpool just by affinity. It's your nepotism vote. I know. Okay, I looked it up again. Are you? Your question was who is my favorite HeroClix creator?
Yes. Content,
I'm gonna
content
go
creator.
with
Yeah.
Monty Cook, Jeff Cook. Oh, I was coming at this as the guys that created HeroClix
No.
themselves.
The
Like who?
yeah.
How can we
Content
argue
creator.
with? I'll say I'll give it to Alec, HeroClix USA.
Yep.
Best quality videos. It doesn't upload nearly enough, but out of every content creator I subscribe to, uh, he's the one I get most excited about when the video comes out because I know it's going to be a good quality video. Like I know he's gonna like what's it called I don't want to say the camera angle. Like it'll always be well lit. The only one I feel like the only like he's got a film background, so like I get like he's a photographer. Like I think it is daily life. So his having like good lighting is natural, but also like his nationals recap was great. I would love to have more videos like that. I just also feel like HeroClix doesn't have enough viewership to justify the amount of work that he'll put into it. Although, and I'll say Dilate is very good as well. I do want to put that but Alec is in his own league of like quality content that I wish he had the time to do more, or I wish creating those videos was rewarding enough to make them worth doing more often.
Yeah. Alec Muser is in a league of his own as far as content creation and quality. He doesn't just spit it out.
Just his
He
video
really
production
puts
quality is
the
just insane.
quality ahead of quantity, and I think it really shows in what he puts out. Not just the lighting, but the thought and effort he puts behind everything everything that he produces is just top tier professional quality. Absolutely.
Looking
Well,
forward to what he
Emilio,
does next. And
this has been the Clix questionnaire. You are now fully known by the HeroClix community. We've been inside your head, and we
perfect.
fully know you. How does it feel?
Feels good. I mean, like I feel like I'm on a car. I'll carve enough of a name for myself if I perform well enough. So
Well, I've heard your name mentioned
glad to
quite a
glad to
few
have been on here. And
times on multiple podcasts. So I've heard your name quite a few times on multiple podcasts. Dal just talked about you. The Generation Clicks has talked about you. You've been on Adam's show. You've been on my show. I think it's safe to say that most of the competitive community knows who you are. So, congratulations in already carving a name for yourself.
I just got to play well enough with the piece that makes people want to play it. I really thought people would pick up on Starbrand after I did well in it with it. No one's picking up Doom. Gotta get respect on my boy Doom's name.
Well, his stock went up. It went from like $50 for a Doctor Doom to like 150 just because of you.
No one's playing it though. No one's fielding it.
Well, I think it's because it's very niche and it's not point and click. It requires a lot of finesse, and people want to play something a little bit easy for them to maneuver. Not everybody is as finesse as you are.
I feel like they could be. I really don't think it's ultra complicated, but yeah, sure. I'll take that in stride. I'll be proud of myself for it.
But Emilio, thank you so much for being here tonight. I apologize for the technical glitches and for the distractions in the background, but I've really enjoyed talking to you, and I really hope that
Yeah, no
the
problem.
audience will enjoy listening to this, and I look forward to seeing you out there.
Cool. Oh, wait, hold on. One last thing that I was hoping would come up.
Oh,
I do want to say, uh, what's it called? I went to college for screenwriting, and I wrote a live action pilot for a Spider Gwen TV show. And if anybody who hears this would like to read that, I would be more than happy to send it over. I love getting eyes on it, and I love getting eyes on it from people that understand comic books and the Marvel stuff. So yeah, that's the last thing I didn't want to. I thought that might come up a little bit, and I would love to slip that in. But yeah, please, if anyone wants to read that, I personally love that script that I wrote, and I would love people to see it. So yeah,
fantastic.
if you guys are interested, hit me up.
Absolutely. All right, everybody out there in HeroClix land,
Cool. Cool.
this has been
Yeah,
Talking
thanks for having me,
Clicks,
Wes.
and keep on clicksing.